added guidance to us, because it will a help me build a solid alumni network for my own college where I graduated from, and second, it also forms a part of our responsibility towards the future generations who in a way are in colleges and in their schools and in their professional courses, that they understand what are the market dynamics, what is it, how is it that it is different from what we are learning theoretically in our books, and how things actually work, so to speak. So I'm sure a lot of you who are doing their majors in finance would have been dreaming or aspiring to become investment bankers, equity research analysts, or would like to associate themselves with development finance institutes, or would like to associate with themselves with foundations, philanthropic institutions like Michael and Susan Dent Foundation or Bill Gates Foundation and everything. Apart from that, some of you might want to build your career in corporate finance and strategy teams, because what we are seeing today is a boom of a lot of startups which tend to, need a lot of funding and are going through a lot of cash burn, so to speak. For that, you need people who have a good grasp about financial planning and analysis, because they are the people who tell how the company is doing, that how much cash are they burning to acquire a certain run rate, as it's called in the corporate lingo. So those are the skills, those are the skills. And apart from that, a new field that has been emerging very fast is the field of automation, AI, machine learning, neural networks, natural language processing. So these are the skills which are in demand today and are going to be in demand for the next decade or so. And our job, or our job as an alumni and our job as professionals, is to help the next set of crop of professionals who are there in the B schools today, to enable them, to give them the proper skills, to introduce them to the changing dynamics of the market, to the tools, to the strategies, to the new fields of, let's say, professions that are opening up with the change in or augmenting technology. So that is the entire set of presentation that I'm going to be presenting you today. I'm not going to bore you with taking you through PowerPoint slides. I want to make it as interactive as possible. So if at any point in time you want to raise a question, though I thought I'll keep a Q&A at the end of it, but if in case you have a question you think that is pertinent to just not you but the entire set of people who we have with us today in this session or in this batch, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Also, even if you do not want to take this course, but you will have some, let's say, career regarding questions or career counseling that you need in terms of how should you go about it, how should you shape up your career, what sort of a, let's say, pedagogy or the let's say, skill sets that would be required, and how should you go about it. I'll leave you with my number and email ID. You can write to me or call me during business hours, and if I'm available, I'll be more than happy to help, let's say, my college friends, my so to speak, my camaraderie of college friends that I have. So now, getting to the agenda of today's session is primarily financial modeling skills. Now, if I can just take a vote of the 35 people, or the number keeps changing every now and then, but the 35 people that we have, how many of you are a major are having their majors in finance in their MBAs? If I can just take a like a guesstimate, how many of you are doing your majors in finance? Anyone can speak for them, for the batch. Do we have an idea?
Only finance students are here.
Sorry. Oh, okay. All of you are majors in finance. That's great. So I believe most of you, when you decided to pick your majors in finance, must have some career goal or some career path in your mind. Some of you might want to get into investment banking. Some might want to go into equity research. But do you really know what is the stepping stone towards it? Because I do understand that we tend to formulate our mindset regarding pursuing a particular career path based on certain, let's say, hearsays that we hear from people, or from, let's say, the TV shows that we watch. But do we really have the skill sets to, let's say, put our foot across the door and make our presence felt? So that is the entire, let's say, gist of this program that we have devised. I, and along with two of my friends who have devised this course, so that we can help the next set of crop of MBA students, or other finance professionals who want to make it, who want to make their career in investment banking, so or different fields that I just discussed. So I'll just briefly tell you about my let's say journey through this corporate profile or corporate life, and what are the kind of projects or let's say deals that I worked on, so that it can give you a gist of what you need to do to make it in the career field, or your chosen path of your career field. So I am currently working with Cube Highways, as ma'am told you. Cube Highways and Transport Asset Advisors Private Limited. It's India's largest toll road concessionaire. We have more than 27 toll road assets with more than 8,700 kilometers of lane kilometers of roads under our management. We primarily buy toll roads from NHAI and other concessionaires by giving them an upfront fee and then collect toll for, let's say, a concession period that can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So that is what our primary role is. We tend to deal with a lot of government institutes, a lot of development institutes, a lot of institutional investors. So why I am telling you all this? Because when you get into investment banking, or when you get into equity research, or when you get into financial planning and analysis, there are certain set of skills that people expect you to have. Now, there are a lot of skills that you would need while you are chugging along in your career path, but this is one of the skills that I can impart, or I can help you to impart, which will help you, let's say, take a stepping stone towards your career. So when I say financial modeling, what do you make out of financial modeling? If anyone can answer of it, what do you mean by financial modeling? Anyone? Am I audible?
Yes, Tushar, you are audible.
Okay. So anyone want to take a tack at it? What do you mean by financial modeling? It's okay if you are wrong. Nobody is right the first time. Even I was wrong. It's perfectly all right. But what do you think you mean by financial modeling? Anyone?
Maybe we judge the ratios, balance sheet, and profit and loss.
But you do that with the help of your, pen and pencil. Why do you need to do financial modeling for that? Think about it for a moment.
So we can take decision uh, for the organization if the investment they are doing those investment it is right or wrong.
Right, that is the outcome of it. But what do you think financial modeling means? You are right, but you're right about the outcome of that financial modeling exercise. I'm asking, what do you mean by financial modeling?
Like
Anyone?
we create different types of models through with the help of balance sheet and like your cash flows. Then we present them to our investors so we can take a
But
look at that
it is
and
meant to,
they dec- then they can decide if the money they are investing like it is feasible or not.
Okay, okay. You're partly right. Deepak, you want to take a tack at it? Deepak?
yes, sir, good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning.
Sir, this is represent the performance of financial assets or portfolio of a business, a project or any other
Absolutely.
investment. Yes, sir.
Absolutely spot on. So, as Deepak has mentioned, what is financial modeling? Financial modeling is nothing but a mathematical expression of a business. Now, this business could be anything. It could be a corporate finance business in terms of when you're making a financial model for, let's say, a company like Reliance Industries, Tata Consultancy Services, Hindustan Unilever, or it could be for a project. Now, all of us have used Delhi Metro once in a while in our life. Now, do you know that there was an entire exercise behind Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, that should this project is this project feasible? So when you, let's say, talk about a project finance initiative, a lot of financial modeling analysis tends to take place in that. First of all, it happens at a value for money level, that whether they should go ahead and build this project. Is there a value for their money? If there is value for their money, how should they go about building it? Should the government build it itself, or should they, farm this project out to an independent contractor who will build it, is going to operate and maintain the entire project for a certain period of time? Excuse me, guys, just give me a moment. I'll Apologies for that interruption. So, like I was saying, a lot of analysis go into whether you want to go ahead and build a Delhi Metro Rail Finance Corp, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Who should build it? Should the government do it in-house with the help of its own contractors or its own company under a PSU structure, or should it farm it out to a company like L&T or Reliance Infra, who will build the entire structure? It's going to charge you the, let's say, the ticket charges that it's charge you for traveling from one destination to other. Now, these are the decisions that you take. Now, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation is a business in itself. Other could be that if you are running your own business, every business needs funding and finance. You tend to understand what is the best and the optimum structure for your capital. Now, how much equity should you go for? How much debt should you go for? What kind of debt should you go for? Should be a senior debt, a mezzanine debt, a junior debt, a sub debt? Should it be a debt in a foreign denomination or in a local currency? How should you refinance your debt? What would be the refinancing structure? How should you repay your debt? Now, all of you might think that repaying of debt is one way that you pay in the form of an EMI. But what if I tell you that there are more than 5 to 6 mechanisms for repaying your debt? It could be an annuity structure, which is known as an EMI structure in your case, as we have all heard. It can be a balloon payment, it can be a bullet payment, it can be a sweep, it can be a lot of things that you would be learning as part of this course, that how repayment of a particular debt happens. How do you raise money through bonds? How do you raise money through syndication of loans? So these are the different things, these are the different structures that you need to understand when you will be making a career in the field of finance, which primarily be including, as I mentioned, investment banking, equity research, project finance, FP&A analysis. Even for valuation, you might not believe, but there are firms whose entire job is to make valuation models for companies like Duffs and Phelps, though they have entered into structure into businesses like investment banking, but they tend to provide valuation services to different companies across the globe, not just in India but across the globe. Now, for that, you need to have a certain set of skills, and those skills are primarily learning about different techniques of valuation, different methods of valuation. It could be a DCF, it could be a relative valuation, it could be an SOTP, it could be an economic value added, it could be an asset based valuation. So you need to understand all of that. Now, I'll just take you quickly through, let's say, a bit of material that I have created for you, so that you can understand when I talk about the course that we have built here for you and how it would be helpful for you. I'm not gonna, try and pitch you as a salesman for it. More, I'm trying to help, extend a helping hand as it was extended to me during the time when I started my career. So our organization is called AR Finance Group. Primarily, we are a bunch of ex investment banking and valuation professionals who have, started our careers with big fours like EY, KPMG, Macquarie. Right now, I'm working with Cube, and we have more than 35 years of experience between the three of us. In this sector of financial modeling, valuation, and different kind of structures. Second, we have worked on live projects instead of just given, let's say, classroom case studies. So we have taken real life projects, real life deals, and help use them as case studies to help students understand that, what is it that a company looks for in a finance professional when he or she enters into the corporate world. We have already trained more than 6,000 students, more than 3,000 professionals who are already working with different institutes, different companies. We have always provided our students with the best satisfaction rate in terms of if they have any query, whether it's subject related or career related. We have tend to shared our personal, let's say, contact credentials with them so that they can have an understanding and they can contact us with any of their queries or doubts that they might have, which will be helpful for them to inculcate a degree of confidence in themselves when they are going ahead for their interviews. Either it will be a first interview that in the form of a college placement, or subsequently when you switch between jobs. These are some of the places where our former students or the people or the professionals where we have trained work. Like I said, EY, KPMG, Safe Partners in Kalari. So now that I have mentioned to you what would be the part of this, what would be the course like. I will take you step by step in terms of what all would be covered. So, as most of you, as Kanika told me that all of you are finance major students here. So, first of all, my basic responsibility would be to make you an expert in Excel, and if not an expert, then at least a professional in Excel, because Excel is something that you need to be very hands-on when you become a professional. Because let me tell you, whether it becomes a cliche or not, but your a professional's life, especially a finance professional's life, tend to revolve a lot around these three Microsoft Office suite products: Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. Because you have to read a lot of legal documents, a lot of technical documents, a lot of internal documentation. You have to churn those numbers and make an analysis with the help of an Excel. And then once you have your numbers, you have your outputs, you need to analyze and present that analysis to your senior management, to financial institutions, to investors, to your top management in the form of a presentation. So what we'll do as part of this course is, first of all, I'm going to take you through Excel from very basic. I'll assume that you do not have an understanding of Excel at all, to making you understand, taking you to a professional level, that you tend to understand all the simple things like if, sum, if else, if error, and all the basic functions that there are, like count ifs, sum ifs, everything. Then we'll step up a notch. We'll take you through advanced Excel functions like, yeah, just one. You take your advanced Excels like, CAGRs, man mix, large, small, applying logical functions in if, using VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUPs, index match, data validations, uppers, case, lowers case, propers. So which will help you get a grasp on Excel, because that will be really helpful. Not even if you want to go ahead and make a career in finance, but also in the upcoming fields like data analysis, number crunching, data cleaning, let's say data accumulation. So all these functions, all these Excel skills will help you even there. Once we have done that, we'll move to even further skill sets like making you through understand choose functions, make you to understand what are the go-to specials, make you understand what are the pivot tables, how to audit a formula. So what will happen a lot of time is, you would not be creating all the financial models. You will have other peers or other professionals who would be creating a financial model, but you would be reviewing their work. Once you have, let's say, spent some degree of time in your careers, and you would be reviewing and providing your feedback on their work. For that, you need to understand how to audit a particular formula, how to audit a particular, let's say, calculation, where to find out the mistakes. You might not believe this, but there was a deal that happened in UK, because of a error of one plus sign, because the sign should have been minus. The deal went through more than the seller had to pay, the buyer had to pay more than $400 million extra. So the deal that was supposed to be at $38.2 billion shot up to $38.6 billion because of one error of a of a plus and minus. So I will teach you how to audit the formula. After that, I'll tell you how to protect your worksheet. So what will happen is, a lot of times when you will be working on your financial models, you have your inputs on the basis of which calculations are done. You want to preserve those, or you want to protect those inputs, so that nobody is able to tamper with those inputs or those calculations. I'll teach you how to protect your worksheet. Post that, I'll teach you how to do sensitivity analysis, which will include goal seed, data tables, and scenario managers. So what happens is, in life, when you make a financial model, you make it on the basis of certain assumptions. Every financial model that you create will be based on certain assumptions. But seldom it happens is that life goes on as you planned exactly. So you want to do a lot of sensitivity analysis. What will happen, let's say, to my EPS if my SG&A cost increases by 5%, or my OPEX cost increases by 5%, or my interest expense reduces by 2 basis points. So these sort of calculations, these sort of understandings you will tend to get when you will be doing a lot of sensitivity analysis. Also, you will be doing a lot of goal seek analysis. So what happens is, when you are, let's say, doing a lot of financial modeling, you want to arrive at certain numbers based on certain calculations. Let's say if you want to see that if you are able to grow your portfolio at 15% per annum, and you have a target of 1 crores, how much money you should start investing today based on, let's say, a 30-year timeline that you have in mind. So a goal seek function can be very helpful to you understand that how much money you need to invest on a lump sum basis today if you are able to generate an alpha of 15% of your investment and have a targeted portfolio value of 1 crores after 30 years or 20 years or whatever the time frame is. So those sort of functions, goal seek, data table will help you present the sensitivity analysis that I just mentioned. Then scenario manager. What would happen is, like I told you, a lot of times you want to understand, okay, I have not just one option, I have more than one options. How should I go about evaluating every single one of these options? You might want to, let's say, go ahead and buy your next house, and when you're buying your house, you might be, talking to 5 or 6 different financial institutions like HDFC Bank or not DHFL. Sorry, DHFL is not a good example these days. Let's say a Guru Finance or an ICICI Bank or any public sector bank. You want to do a scenario analysis as to which bank, with all its terms and conditions, is offering you the best value for money, in how which is the bank which is offering you the least amount of money that you need to pay out of your pocket, and you will be able to be an owner of a fabulous home of your dreams. So those sort of analysis would be taken or take into consideration when we would be taking you scenario analysis. Also, like I mentioned you, there are a lot of upcoming fields that are, making a splash in the market today. These includes things like artificial intelligence, business intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, neural networks. So we will take you through one of these fields which is called business intelligence, in which you will learn how to present your data that you have analyzed, that you have churned, that you have worked on using statistical tools, how to best present your data in an impressive way to the senior management, so that they are in a better position to take those decisions in a quick, let's say, set of time. Because these days, given that these technologies are available to everybody, you need to be very quick with your decision making. So we will help you teach how to use these charts, which chart should be used with which data or data point, how should you best present your chart. Let's say when you will be doing financial modeling, you will be doing a lot of chart work in terms of telling how the valuation is moving from one goalpost to the other goalpost with a change in, let's say, scenario, or with a change in sensitivity. So we'll be taking you through that. Now, this is the basic Excel stuff. Like I mentioned, world is moving very fast to a different pace, different space, which includes automation. So we'll be taking you through VBA. VBA is Visual Basic Access. So what we'll do is we'll take you through VBA and help you learn programming, in which you'll be able to automate a lot of stuff that you might be doing on a regular basis, like, creating a copy of a particular workbook that you have to send to your corporate finance team or your, let's say, senior management team or audit team on a monthly basis. So rather than just doing that thing over and over again manually, we'll teach you how to use VBA to automate that stuff, and it will be, it will save you thousands of hours. And I'll tell you myself, when I was part of EY, I made a tool which helped us, calculate the savings. We used to do a lot of financial modeling review, where, we used to create financial model, and the other person, a peer team member, used to review our work. So for that reviewing, we used to create a map of our entire financial model in terms of which cell has a formula, which cell has an inputted value, which cell has a hard coded value. So we tend to created a map of the entire thing, and then we created savings in terms of how much time would it take for us to review the entire model. So I created an Excel based VBA based tool which helps us to calculate the savings in terms of how many formulas can we ignore and how many hours we save. And you won't believe it, I save more than 1500 hours on an annual basis, which was used spent on, let's say, less than helpful activities of calculating savings on a project by project basis. All you had to do was press a click button, and everything was calculated in the background, and your output was there with you. Good morning, ma'am. Output in front of you, and it will help you to, really save time, and it will optimize your output. It will help you to, project your work in the best possible way, that your seniors would also understand that yes, you have really, created a tool which will help us to, create to have bring in a lot of efficiency into the process and save us a lot of time. Because if you have saved that time, you can let's say move on to a different set of work, which can be a billable work, which will increase your billability. So those sort of calculate, those sort of small tools that we have created, I'll also help you with the tools that I have created. With those sort of small tools, if you are able to understand, the efficiency part of it, you'll understand that deep learning VBA would be a lot of fun. Now, this is the basic Excel portion. Of course, based on the conversations that I will have with all of you, we can take certain portions of it, remove certain portions of it. But this is the sort of offering that I can help you with in terms of learning basic Excel, advanced Excel, charts, a sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis, data tables, automation with the help of VBA. So this is just the Excel portion of it. Now you can understand that how wide is the use of Excel, that only the basic Excel portion of it encompasses these many things. Now, when we move to financial modeling, there can be a lot of different things. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is the ground that we would be covering as part of our sessions going forward. If in case any one of you think you want to learn those set of skills, and help you in understanding those sort of things. Now, when I say that we'll be moving from that, so I'll talk about financial modeling, because that is the moot point why we are here. So when we are talking about financial modeling, I'll take you through how a corporate finance model is done. So when I talk about corporate finance, it's, let's say, an established company that you have out there, like Reliance Industries, or let's say TCS, or any other company that you want to build your financial model for. You want to try your hands in stock market. You want to understand whether a particular share is overvalued or undervalued. So you will create your own financial projections. You will create your own financial model. You will create your own financial valuation, and based on that, you can understand, based on your analysis and your assumptions, whether a particular stock is overvalued or undervalued. How do you go about valuing? So what happens is, when we talk about valuation, we tend to create an impression that valuation is all about company valuation, but that is not the case. You will do a lot of valuation, on an asset basis, on a particular division basis, or you can value the ESOPs. So what happens is, in today's day and time, companies are not just offering the compensation in the form of cash, but they are also offering compensation to their employees in the form of ESOPs. That if the company grows, if the value of the company grows, you will grow with it. So that will help to understand what is the value of ESOPs, what are the different kind of ESOPs that are out there, how should you value it. So these are the kind of let's say the offerings that we will be taking you through. Of course, depending upon how much time we get and how much, let's say, bandwidth we have, we'll take you through real life case studies in which we'll teach you how these things happen, how do you value. So I just have a question. I want to take a brief moment of pause here, and I just have one question from you. When I say valuation, just want to understand, how many valuation techniques do you think are out there for valuing a certain product or certain company? What do you think? Anyone can take a tap.
DCF,
Yes, DCF is one of the methods.
multiples,
Okay, so what do you call multiple when you use multiples as a valuation methodology? What do you call it?
like we compare. Uh,
Comparables, yes, but it's called relative valuation, right?
like,
Any other method that you can think of? Deepak, Kanika, Rahul, anyone? So what if I told you that yes, DCF and relative valuation are two methods of valuation, but besides this, there are valuation methods called economic value added, or there are asset-based valuations, or there are sum of the parts valuations. So these are the different tricks and tactics that you need to understand when you would be making your career into, let's say, the different chosen fields that you might have, and you need to learn these skill sets. And for all these skill sets, you need to understand how a financial modeling works. And if you if we go ahead and if, of course, I give this caveat again and again, that if we get enough bandwidth, so we'll be taking it to individual, let's say, set of these skills, that how do you do an asset based valuation, how do you do an SOTP valuation, how do you do a DCF valuation. When you do a DCF valuation, when should you do a FCFF valuation, and when should you do an FCFE valuation. When you do a relative valuation, when should you use a market based comparable valuation, when should you use a transaction based comparable? When you do a market based comparable, what sort of one time line items that you need to adjust to arrive at an apple to apple comparable, apple to apple comparison comparable? When you are doing a transaction analysis, what sort of adjustments that needs to go into it to make an apple to apple comparison there? So these sort of things would be covered as part of, let's say, the course or the discussions that we would have going forward. Now, I have a lot of material for you that I would be covering in subsequent sessions as well, which we have, during the next 3 or 4 days, in terms of what all different, financial modeling, let's say, tactics or financial modeling, let's say, implementation areas are there which you can use and which you are seeing on a daily basis in your life, and how would it help you to build your career in that particular chosen field. But for now, I'll take a pause here, and I'm open to taking your questions. If in case you have any questions on the discussions that we have so far, or any other questions that how would this workshop would help you to build your career and prepare you for your chosen career field. The floor is open to all of you. You can take your you can put forth your questions.
Good morning, Sarashwara here.
Hello,
I
Shweta.
just
Good
have the
morning.
same question that you just asked, that how is this going to help me out when I go out in a corporate? Would this be beneficial when I go as an interview, or what is that I can use this as an advantage to speak about?
Absolutely, Aishwarya, that's a very valid question. Yes, definitely, you can use it as an advantage, because if you are trying to make your career with, in let's say, one of the fields that I just mentioned, a lot of companies do tend to prefer candidates who have financial modeling skills. And the answer is, and the subsequent part is why. Why? Because let's say a person who has a financial modeling skill and the person who doesn't, company tend to like people who can who can hit the ground running and who can start working from day one, instead of training someone and spending some time and resource on it. Because if the employee leaves, the entire cost for the company tends to go, they have to start reinvent the wheel once again. But if, let's say, an employee comes in who already understands how financial modeling works, he or she can hit the ground running. The company do not have to incur subsequent and additional costs in training them, and then it will tend to help you also generate a certain degree of confidence, because when you will be working on a live project, you will already have an understanding how a particular set of calculation works, and it will help you in quickly turn around the, let's say, output of your work, provide better quality inputs and better quality outputs at the same time, in decision making for the senior management. So yes, it will help you a lot. I am a financial modeling, though I have moved into an industry role right now, but I am a financial modeler through and through, and it's been close to 9 years that I'm doing this now. My role encompasses many more activities, de- dealing with a lot of consultants, technical, legal, and everything, presenting a lot of stuff to our senior management for investment theories and everything. But yes, financial modeling is still the crux. We need to understand what is the valuation that we are pitching in for a particular road, or a particular, let's say, metro rail, or a particular parking slot, or a particular railway junction that we want to buy. So yes, it helps us in understanding, because we need to understand what is the calculation that is taking at the calculation that is happening at the back to arrive at a particular conclusion. I'll take a simple example. If you might have a particular career goal in mind, so you need to understand, if I want to increase my salary at a certain rate, what is the growth rate that I need to apply for achieving at a certain salary rate. Now, for that, you need to understand Excel. You need to understand how to apply CAGR growth rate. You need to understand what should be the base from which you start. So all these skill sets, and once you learn all these skill sets and you keep your mindset open to it, you can do wonders with it. People have created games in VBA. You might not believe this, but people have created games in VBA, and these sort of brings you a kind of recognition, because it's not just a good work. You need to market your skills, that yes, I have built certain things which will bring in efficiency in the organization, in the processes that we are following, and we can cut down on our time and work on that. So definitely it will help you. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I have a question that
Yes, Kanika.
if I'm a fresher, that literally I don't have any experience in finance or in any accounts or taxation field, but if I add on that I know advanced Excel or financial modeling, so
Right.
does it helps out because majorly many people are adding these things. So what extra we can do?
Yes, Kanika, that's a very, very pertinent question, and I'm glad that you asked it. You are absolutely spot on that a lot of people are adding these skills. But the point is, are they hands-on? Do they have the expertise in that skills? So what happens is, given the penetration of internet, there are a lot of websites like An Academy, Udemy, where you can find these courses. But the point is, when you are presented with a real life case study, can you crack that case study? So if let's say what will happen is, if when we will be going through that course, I'll be taking you through by a real life case study, and then I will take a test for all of you, that how much have you learned, and on that basis you will get your certification, so that you are able to deal with the real life problems that you would be getting, and not just taking it through the case study for the sake of it. I will take a test for all of you. You would have to submit a case study, and only that, on the successful completion of that case study, which will be let's say 6 hour or an 8 hour case study, you would get a certification. So I will take you through that on a very rigorous basis, so that you are able to understand how things happen, rather than just so uh, uh, let me tell you it in a way, in a slightly different way. Adding just a certification should not be your goal in life. Adding a skill set should be. And you have to be very good at what you do. It can be any skill set. It could be Excel, it could be VBA, it could be financial modeling, it could be Python, it could be anything. But you should be very good at it, not just for the mere presence of a certification on your CV. You should be very good at it on a practical basis. I know that a lot of people, I get to screen at least 20 to 25 CVs on a daily basis, that people say that we are experts in financial modeling, who are from very good academic backgrounds, who are from very good colleges. But when I, let's say, ask even one tricky question from them, everything comes tumbling down. All the skulls in the skeleton in the closet comes tumbling down. You need to understand the nuances of it, why an IRR is called an IRR, what is the big difference between an XIRR and MIRR and an IRR, what is the difference between an NPV and XNPV, what is the most important thing in a financial model, how should you start building a financial model, what would happen if I change certain thing, where would be the impact of those changes be visible in the financial model. So you need to understand, you should not do it only for the sake of a certification. You should do it because you want to make a career in it. Does that sufficiently answer your question, Ganika?
Yes, sir. I have another question for
Sure,
you.
please go ahead.
Uh, See, sir, being a fresher, what I have listened with my friends that finance, taxation, and accountancy, both fields
Right.
are different. So
Absolutely correct.
that one of my friend suggested that if you want to go in Big Four, you should gain some experience in some other firm. You can go for AP, AR. But being as a fresher, I can't judge that. Basically, previously I also applied. So it's like that. It's a audit field, associate, analyst. Means these are the different names, and you are not able to recognize that what skills you should add on or what they are expecting from you.
See, Kanika, I understand where your friend are coming from, and I understand what you are talking about. The AR, AP kind of roles that you just mentioned, I understand that those are more of assurance roles. Those are more of audit roles, in which you tend to, help a company from an audit point of view. Where is the company standing in its dues? Where is the company standing in terms of its receivables? But that's a completely different set of skills. That's a completely different career path, so to speak. When you're talking about financial modeling, you are talking about career paths towards a slightly different field, which is, like I mentioned, equity research, project finance, PPPs, bid modeling, financial closure, debt syndication, equity capital market, debt capital market, then in equity capital market, primary market, see in secondary market. So those are completely different things. Your friend is absolutely correct that those are, even when you are talking about financial modeling, you would not believe that, but that I am not a tax expert. So whenever we need tax expertise, or we need to understand how the taxation would be taking place in a certain project, we tend to hire external consultants like the Big Fours, who give their tax reports to us, that this is the tax liability that you would be incurring in your project if you go ahead with a certain project. So it depends upon the kind of skill and the career goal that you want to make. You want to chart out for yourself. It's not necessary. Your friend is not incorrect. It's just that he is on a different career path and you might be on a slightly different career path. Both of them are right. It's just that what you want, what career path do you want to choose for yourself? Any other question?
No, sir. It's just the opportunity you are getting, the things what
See,
we are getting.
Kanika, let me be very candid with you. When and I'm not gonna, paint a rosy picture like a lot of institutes does. That yes, we help our students 100% placement, this and that. See, your college is not your placement factory. Let me be very candid and blunt with you, because I have been there where you are, and I don't know. I took a session last year as well where I, spoke to a lot of students. Your college is not a placement factory. Your college is just a stepping stone. It's you should be there to learn as much as you can, but at the end of the day, your career is your own responsibility. When I completed my masters, I did at the heights of recession that was peaking there. I literally went from company to company, handed a copy of my resume to different HRs. I borrowed my friend's bike and went to every financial services company that I could figure out in Gurgaon, in Noida, and handed my CV to HR. And let's say I distributed more than 40 copies of my resume, and I got one or two calls. But when you get that call, and if that call is pertinent to you, are you able to convert it? That's all that matters. Life is not going to be easy, my friend. It's going to be very difficult. But yes, you have to. And gone are those days when our parents' days when we used to have a degree and we were set for life. In today's day and age, everything is changing so fast. Be it finance, be it technology, that you have to constantly read. I still work 14 to 16 hours a day, because you have to keep yourself abreast with the changes that are happening around you. Because like I told you, it's not going to be just having an MBA degree. If you have, your biggest competitor is the person who sits just next to you in your class. You don't have to look beyond that. Yes, career opportunities are there, and I will definitely help you in terms of getting those career opportunities. But at the end of the day, you would have to work hard and in a particular let's say manner to bring those skills on the table that a particular company is looking for, and really crack at it, really crack it when the opportunity presents itself.
Yes, true, sir. 100% true.
I'm not going to give you sugar coated words, guys. Life is not a bed of roses, to be very honest. I still work 14, 16 hours a day, uh, and you really have to work. When they say you have to work hard, you really have to work hard in today's day and age to make your mark, to make a cut, especially in this COVID lockdown. Any other questions, guys? Anything pertinent to the to the material that we discussed today? No question is a wrong question. No question is a stupid question. I was there where you are today. Please feel free. Do not think that I'm gonna think low of you. Any question that you have, please feel free to ask. No questions. Wow. You guys gonna make my life easy, very easy in doing. Aishwarya, Deepak, Kanika, Gandharv, Rahul. These are the faces or the thumbnails that I can see at the top. So I'm calling you guys out. But anyone, feel free to ask any and every question. You want to understand what sort of packages you will be starting at when you will be, leaving your college in a finance field. Please feel free to ask. I have no hesitation in discussing that as well. Okay. All right. Ma'am, I think nobody has any further questions for today. So what will happen tomorrow, guys, is I'm going to take you through, the implementation of financial modeling in corporate finance, particularly DCF, relative valuation, SOTP, asset-based analysis, and economic value-added analysis, and how would it help you to, make a mark in a chosen career field. And subsequently that we'll be talking about project finance, the kind of project finance projects that you will be working on, financial closure, VFM, operating asset management models, and let's say bid modeling, unitary charge modeling, what is unitary charge and everything. Post that, I'll be taking you through an FP&A analysis. You know, what sort of careers are there in FP&A analysis? How can you make your career in an FP&A analysis? And FPA is very different from, you know, CFP. So I'll clear all your doubts that you might have. What is the difference between CFP and an FP&A? Those are completely different fields of finance. So I'll be taking you through that. So I would request you one thing: if you could spend some time on doing some secondary research today, so that you have, let's say, a set of questions for tomorrow, and you know you want to discuss even anything about today's session. You want to go home, do some secondary research, understand a certain things or certain nuances that you want to discuss, or if you think that something that I might have skipped or, you know, taken you through in a rush, please feel free to raise your hand tomorrow, and we can discuss all those questions, all those doubts. And believe me, no question is a stupid question, and it's better to be stupid for a moment than to be stupid for a lifetime.
I was about to say that, so might be we'll shy for today. Might be we might open up tomorrow to talk to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's okay, yeah. And nobody is perfect. Even my bosses make the mistake. All we have to say is, sir, एक बार दोबारा देख लीजिए बस. When we know there's a mistake, you have to be polite, a lot more polite in the corporate world, of course. Sometimes unbearably so, but yes, no question is a stupid question. So please feel free to go back, to do some Google search if you think that you have certain questions that I have not answered today or have not covered enough, let's say, in depth. And please feel free to discuss them with me offline or tomorrow in session. I have no qualms about answering anyone's question. You can contact me after 6:30, because till then I'm a little tied up in a lot of work, and I'm more than happy to answer all your questions. Even if you don't want to take these sessions and still want some career counseling, I'm more than happy to do it. Based on my experiences, of course. I do not have any understanding of HR or marketing, so I might not be the right person. I can guide you to the right people, but finance is something that I can really help you out.
That would be seriously very great, sir. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for this insightful session. And it could not have been a better start to start our career in the financial modeling. And we're definitely looking forward to the insightful sessions for the coming 3 days. And thank you so very much, sir, for joining with us.
Sure, sure. Just one piece of advice: do not look it as a financial modeling career. Look it as an enabling or a skill set that you will need to go in the career path that you have chosen. It could be equity research, like I said, it could be financial modeling, it could be M&A, it could be anything. It's just a skill set that will enable you to reach there. But to reach there, you would need many more skills. You would need to understand legal technicalities, you would need to understand technical technicalities, you would need to understand, market dynamics, and a whole number of things. When you think you have figured it all out, one surprise element is gonna pop up its head, and it's gonna tell you, hey buddy, look at me as well. So do not think that this is the all in all that you need to make a splash, or to part the seas. But yes, this will definitely be a let's say a skill set which will set you apart. And like I said, you should not do this course just to add another byline, so to speak, on your CV. This You should do this course because you really want to learn something and have those skill set which will help you enable your to chart your career paths. And I'm repeating it again and again. I would not have any problem with it, but yes, I am telling you, for your own sake, do not do this course just to add a line on your CV. Do it because you really want to learn it. Practice it. Practice is the only way of learning any particular skill. There are no two ways about it. You would have to sacrifice a lot of nights, you would have to sacrifice a lot of birthday parties, weddings, and everything to learn a lot of new things, but you would have to do it. There are no other alternatives to it. Okay, any other question? If you, in case you are feeling shy and don't want to discuss anything, you can note down my number and you can call me after 6:30. I'm more than happy to answer any and every question of yours. Of course, 6:30 till 6:30, I'm a little tied up, but after 6:30, I'm more than happy to answer all of your questions. I'll leave my number in the chat box, and if in case anyone feels like they want to discuss anything, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And yes, that doesn't mean that you do not Pay attention to your academics. Academics is an absolute essential because they are the basics, stepping stones. If you are not clear with your academics, I would not be able to help you with a lot of technical terms that we would be using in our courses. So you have to be very thorough with your academics, especially your financial markets and your ma'am, what is the course called these days? It was called portfolio and securities management during when I was doing my master. I don't know what it was called these days, but you have to be very thorough with it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll leave my number in the chat box, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Is that a yay, nay?
Tushar.
Are we gonna
Yes.
have?
Yes, sir.
Sure. So I'm leaving my number with all of you. You can call me after 6:30 in case you want to discuss anything, and I'm more than happy to answer all your questions. Thank you, Latika ma'am. Thank you, Aparna ma'am. I can't see you, Aparna ma'am. Are you here? Are you still here?
I think ma'am
I
has
think
left. Hmm.
I think Aparna ma'am had to step out.
Yeah.
No worries. No problem.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Tushar.
everyone. Thank you, Latika ma'am. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. sharp.
Absolutely. Yes, Tushar. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And all the students, please be here by 11. And all those who are absent today, I would like them all to join before 11 tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, bachcha.
Mom, will the
Bye-bye.
link be same?
Yes, yes, the same link.
Oh, come on.